y'all, welcome to Criminally Creative, a channel about my various creative endeavors. Today is Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, and this is episode 90. I'm Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative, the number 1. If you're new here, I appreciate you checking me out, and I hope you like what you see and will like, subscribe, and do all the fun YouTube things. If you're returning, as always, I appreciate you coming back. It has been 3.5, almost a month, since I last recorded. I was going to try to record sometime around the 20th, but that ended up being kind of a crazy busy week at work unexpectedly. And so the next week, and I thought, well, I really should record. And then I thought, well, there's only a week left in the month, so I might as well just wait. So anyway, here we are again. October is over. It is now November. I can't believe that the year is almost over. As usual, my brain is already like thinking about the 2026 plans, but we'll talk about that later. So anyway, what's been up since I last talked to you? I think I last recorded on the 7th. So since then, what's happened? My husband and I flew out to California for a long weekend. My sister lives out in just south of San Francisco on the peninsula in the San Francisco area. Carolina was playing Cal on Friday, October 17th. And my sister also went to UNC Chapel Hill, where I graduated from undergrad. And so we got tickets for the game, and my husband and I flew out, and my sister, her husband, and her son, who we are indoctrinating to be a Carolina fan, even though he's being raised in California. I went to the game. I had bought an extra ticket so that my nephew could bring a friend, because, 11-year-old boys aren't usually completely enthralled by the game. He's not really into football, but he likes to go for the fun of it, but then he loses interest. So anyway, so we had a lot of fun at the game. Didn't care for that stadium much. One, there was a lot of stairs. My knees did not like it. But I didn't like the way it was set up. I mean, like, where you had to basically go all the way to the top for us to walk almost all the way back down into the bowl to our seats, and the level that we went out at had no, like, real restrooms. There were porta potties, like permanent porta potties, basically. But anyway, we had a lot of fun at the game. Carolina did not win, although we played a heck of a lot better than I expected that we would. We had a couple of bad calls, a couple of mistakes on our part. But the score overall was much better than I expected it to be. That one was actually, we lost 18-21. So that wasn't too bad. Let's see. So we flew back home. Well, the rest of the weekend, we just kind of hung out with my sister and her family. We didn't do anything big. We've done kind of all the touristy stuff out there. We helped them decorate the outside of their house for Halloween. Went to one of my nephew's basketball games, just kind of chilled and hung out, which was a lot of fun, because usually my sister comes to North Carolina at least a couple of times a year. But of course, when she does, it's like, she wants to see us, and she wants to see my parents, and she wants to see my brother. And so I don't really get to spend a lot of time with just her, hanging out and chilling and chatting. So that was really good to do that. I had actually not been out there since she was pregnant in 2014. So, because she comes to North Carolina a couple times a year. But anyway, so we did that. We flew back on Sunday, whatever that Sunday was, the 19th, I think. Like I said, that week at work ended up being a little busy. What was the next week? The next weekend was, we had a regular football game. Who did we play? I gotta look at my notes. Virginia. Oh, we played Virginia, the 25th. We also lost that one, but only by 1 point and in overtime. So we're doing better. They scored a touchdown in overtime. We scored a touchdown in overtime. We went for the 2 and did not get it, so we lost by 1 point. I'm not a coach. I don't know why we didn't do the field goal and tie it up and go to a second overtime and, see if we could score when they couldn't. But for whatever reason, we made the point to go for the 2. We did not get it. We lost by 1 point. But, again, doing much better. Still not always playing great, but better than the blowout to TCU the first game of the year. So we did that last weekend. I feel like there was something else that I did on Sunday last weekend, but I can't remember what it was. It maybe nothing in particular. But anyway, this past week I worked from home a couple of days. I went and got my COVID and flu vaccine, and I usually try to get it on Friday because normally when I get it, I just feel kind of really run down the day after. But this time, for whatever reason, I decided to get it on one of my work from home days. And then I ended up taking Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off work. Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday, I felt kind of achy and just really run down, and my throat was a little like raw, like that. Not the sore when you swallow, but like it just feels like your throat's almost on fire feeling. Didn't have a fever or anything. Thursday, I wasn't achy so much anymore. Still kind of tired, throat still raw, and I was kind of stopped up. So Friday, I probably could have gone to work, but at that point, I was like, I haven't been there all week. Might as well take another day off. So I felt much better on Friday. Still kind of rested and dozed a lot during the day. But anyway, it seems to all be gone for the most part. Yesterday, I went to the Greensboro All Day Stitch. There's a Greensboro Stitchers Facebook group, and a couple times a year they do an all day stitch. And so I went to that and saw Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and also my friend Christina was there, and several other people that I had met at the May All Day Stitch, and a couple other people that I knew from elsewhere. So it's just good to see everybody and just have a stitchy day, and it was really nice. Other than the heat wasn't working in the room we were in, so it was a little chilly. It was not unbearable. It was tolerable. I'm just a little chilly, but I mean, it wasn't. One of the people that runs the group works at that particular church. It wasn't her fault. They had no way of knowing until we walked in there Saturday morning, and they even had maintenance guys there trying to get it fixed, but they just couldn't. So, but anyway, we had a good time. If you're in the Greensboro area, or close enough to Greensboro to make it worth the drive for just stitching all day. It ran from I think like 9 to 6. I left about 5. I got there about 9:30. Left about 5. But so, I mean, like, my friend Christina drove from just north of Raleigh. I think it takes her like an hour and a half, maybe. And for me, it's a little less than an hour. So, for 8 hours of stitching, that's worth the drive to me. But anyway, so did that yesterday. Today has just been the regular chores, laundry, grocery. I just got to my mother because I hadn't talked to her all week. Hi, Mom. And I think that's about it. Yeah. So I think that was it. Carolina's doing better. We won Friday night against Syracuse. I don't know what it is with the Friday night games. That's weird to me that we've had 2 Friday night games. They've both been away games, fortunately. But anyway, let's move on from hearsay, and because it's been like almost 9 minutes now, and I'm still rambling about hearsay. First up, we will move into the crafting, and first up is verdicts, and I do have a mostly verdict, and most of y'all can probably guess what this is if you follow me on Instagram. I have finished all of the cross-stitching on Kingdom of Books. So here's where it is. Trying to make sure I can get it on the screen. It is totally done as far as all the X's. I'm just going to hold it here a minute because I don't know if you can hear me behind it. So I did this got this as a kit. Let's see if we can do this way so you can actually hear me. I did it on the kit Ada, which is a 14 count, mostly 3 strands, with the called for floss. The fabric on the edge is what I had to sew on to be able to fit it in the Q-snap and get to the edges of the pattern. Some of this in the middle at the gate, that background, a lot of that is 1 strand to do some dimension. I have started barely with, I'm not going to do all the back stitching that it calls for because I'm not doing names on the books, but I am doing, and I don't know if you can see, if I can get this close enough to see, I am doing the back stitching that like defines the windows and stuff. So see, I've done it on that. And so I've done, I the main color of the back stitching, which is that brown, I'm going to do all the way across the whole project because that's the bulk of the back stitching I'm doing. And then there's some back stitching in some other colors. So like I've done the brown all the way down to, oh, I don't want to lose where I left my needle stuck in where I had done the back stitching down to, because I'm working off the page. So I've done the brown on all 4 of those books and the top part of that. I am working off the paper pattern for the back stitching. I could just cancel out what I'd done in markup, but I'm having to flip back to the key because it's one of those that it's color chart, and then it has color back stitch lines that indicate like what color thread you should be doing it in. So it's just as easy to work off the paper pattern for that part. So anyway, so before, there's a few French knots as well up around, whoops, up here on this railing. There's some French knots across the top of that I need to do. And I don't mind French knots. I don't find them, you know, I hate to brag, but I don't find them all that difficult to do. So, anyway, so that is Kingdom of Books. Hopefully we're going to get a screenshot. If not, I'm going to make one. And I plan to work little by little on the back stitching, and I will have all the back stitching and French knots done by the end of the year. I will have it done. And when I finish that, I'll show you again, one more time again, before I decide exactly how to finish it. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to frame it. I still think I'm going to do some kind of soft finish on it. I'm not sure what exactly yet. We'll see. Anyway, let's move into Court is in Session. I'm going to show you one knitting project before I get into the cross stitch. And that is primarily because I probably will not have a chance to show it to you again before it is given away. This is the baby blanket that I'm making for my stepdaughter. And we have a shower for her on Saturday the 15th, and so I probably will not record again until at least Sunday the 16th, so I will have given this away by then. So this is the Ripple Knitted Baby Blanket is the pattern. I did not write down, I forgot to write down who the pattern is by, and now my mouse has decided to go walkabout, and I can't, not my mouse, my cursor, and I couldn't find it. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I will pull up real quick because I want to tell you who the designer is. The designer is Scottish Sampler, and it's a very simple like zigzag chevron pattern. It's you know, a pattern across one row and then you knit back across the other row. I am doing this out of Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel Cotton from Hobby Lobby. In the colorway Harbor Wish, so it does the color changing for me, and I've got to finish this in the next 2 weeks. I'm almost done with the second skein, and I've got one more skein of yarn to add to it, and so I've got to work on this more consistently in the next 2 weeks so I can get it done before the shower. I am knitting that on a US 6 4mm needle, so that's the only knitting project I'm going to show you. That's really what I've worked on mainly, because it dawned on me like a week or so ago that I only had 3 weeks to get it done. And so we will move into cross stitch. Before I show you new projects, let me tell you my October stats. Put my glasses on. I apologized last time. I realized as I was editing, but I really just didn't have time to re-record, that I had left my glasses on the head, and the way one of these lights was hitting was giving y'all glare, and I apologize for that. Hopefully I will remember not to do that anymore. October stats. In October, I did 16,583 stitches. I stitched 26 days, 74 hours. I worked on 15 projects. I started 5 projects. I finished 1. I am not counting Kingdom of Books as a finish yet, so it has not come off of my WIP list until I finish all of the back stitching and the French knots. So that one was my Wicked Stitcher Society I showed you in the last episode, not Kingdom of Books. So I finished the month with 106 whips. No, that's not right. I just remembered. I finished the month, I finished the month with 105 whips. I'm sorry. It is, spoiler, it's currently 106. Because we're in November. So I finished October with 105 whips. So let me show you what I worked on. And hopefully this will not take forever. First up is in this bag by Sherry So Sweet. Patriotic. So you can, if you watch me regularly, you know what's in this. This is my Let Freedom Ring, which is a pattern by Leela Studio. I started this on November 9th. Oh, shoot. You know what? I got to pause because I just realized I've been making my notes all day between doing laundry and cooking and everything else, and I just realized I haven't finished my notes. So I need to write some numbers down, and then I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, hopefully you're in a similar position because I had to take my phone off the stand to look up all the numbers I forgot to write down. Because the app that I use is on my phone, which I'm currently recording on. Anyway, let's try this again. First up is Let Freedom Ring, which I showed you the bag for. Told you it's by Leela Studio. Started this November 9th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 40 count, Picture This Plus vellum. This is where it currently is. If you're new here, as I talk, I will post a picture of what the project will look like when it's done, and if I have one, a picture of what it looked like the last time that I showed it to you. So you did not see this last time because I did not touch it in September, so I got a little behind. This time you can see I worked on the left side of that building and finished those trees above it. That whole lower section below the trees of the building is done except for back stitching. And I've moved over more to that building. So next time, I'm not sure. I think I might do this 1/1, finish that in there, and then I don't know, maybe work on the bottom some to do a little something different, but we'll see. This is the project that I am going to try to finish by the end of June next year for the 250th semi-quincentennial of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Since you last saw this, or in October, I did 2,276 stitches. And it is currently at 16,703 stitches of 36,539 total. That number's not completely accurate because it does not count back stitching or the 1/1, which I do count ultimately. So that overall number will go up as I get more done on this and I add the numbers for the back stitching and the 1/1. But currently, it is about 45.7% done. So, I'm hoping I should be able to get it to at least 50% by the end of the year. I should be over 50% by the end of December because I've got 2 more months of the year to work on it. So, and hopefully we will have that done by end of June next year. Next up is in this bag by Carrie Sews For You, I think. Yep. Doesn't have anything to do with the project that's in the bag. It's just a cute bag. This is Anzac by Long Dog Samplers. I started this on February 29th of 2024, which was Leap Day. And this is my Leap Day project, which I'm trying to have finished by Leap Day 2028. I'm doing this on a 40 count Lars fabric in the colorway Brain Fog. I'm doing it primarily with Silks For You PR038, which is the green, charcoal, and gray variegated. But I'm also using PR136, which is the green that I've done the outline of the continent of Australia in, and a little bit of PR123, which is like the bright blue that I've done the number. See, I went ahead and put 2028 in. I'm being optimistic. And then I'm also using a little bit of a gold silk from Be Stitch Me for a couple things here and there. So that's where it currently is. In October, I did 638 stitches. It is currently at 13,310 of 29,609, which is about 45%. So this time I worked down this side a little bit and did that dragon head is mostly what I did. I did a little bit more to get to my stitch count, but that dragon head's the biggest thing I did. And that needs about 600 stitches a month to be able to finish it in time. Next up is in this bag from Creative Carol with Tula Pink fabric. This was one of my whip go calls for October. This is Minnie the Wool Shop, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, based on artwork by Lucy Pittaway. This is a retired chart at Heaven and Earth Designs. Lucy Pittaway is now only available, to my knowledge, through Bothy Threads kits, which are, I believe, her designs are still full coverage on those kits, but with less detail, I would assume, based on the kind of fabric that they're in. This was a whip go call for October for 1,300 stitches, but it was also a whip go call for September for 1,300 stitches, and I did not get to it. If you were watching my last episode, you know I did not get to a lot in September, and so I was playing catch up in October. So this is where it currently is. I did a total of 2,606 stitches in October, which was both September and October's whip go requirement, numbers, goals, whatever. It is currently at 6,371 of 75,625, which is 8.4%. And I think I told you this is the mini of the Wool Shop. There is a full-size version, which I had initially started a couple years ago, and then had a come to Jesus moment with myself that it would never be finished. But I really wanted this one, and the mini mock-up of this looked pretty good, so I switched to the mini and started over. If you heard the dryer buzz, I apologize. But next up in this bag that's got mountains on it, it was my other whip go call for October, which is Blue Ridge, which is charted by CrossStitch.com, based on artwork by Derek McCrae. I forgot to tell you that I started Minnie the Wool Shop on March 2nd of 2023. I started this Blue Ridge on May 28th of 22. This is a smaller full coverage. And this is where it is. So this was also an October whip go call for 1,000 stitches. I did 1,030 stitches, and this is currently at 6,366 of 37,632, which is 16.9%. Now we get into gridiron grind. So I am doing gridiron grind. I'm not doing it in the full coverage fanatics group because I'm not actually doing full coverage pieces. One of the ones I'm doing is close to full coverage, but not quite. And I have also chosen a piece to represent all the opponents that we play, and I do stitches for that one as well. So since I last recorded, I have stitched for 3 games. We played and lost badly to Clemson on October 4th, which was before I last recorded, but I had not yet stitched for it. And then we played Cal on October 17th. We had a bye the weekend of the 11th. And then we played Virginia on October 25th. We also played this past Friday night, but I have not stitched for that yet, so this does not show that. So the pattern that I am stitching on for the UNC Tar Heels, which is the games I'm following, I'm doing college football, not pro football, sorry, is Schoolhouse Rock, which was a stitch along from Black Needle Society in 2023. And I started it back then. I just didn't get it finished. I started this September 3rd of 2023. I'm doing it on a 36 count Be Stitch Me in the colorway Ocean Blue. And this is where it is. I did, since you last saw it, I did 566 stitches. So the scores of the 3 games I stitched for UNC were 10, 18, and 16. So I did 114 stitches, 221 stitches, because I just was in a groove, and 231, because once again, I was in a groove. So, I don't make myself stop when I get to the required number of stitches if I feel like doing a little bit more. So, totally, like I said, I did 566, since you last saw it. I'm currently at 8,046 stitches of 16,284, which is 49.4%. And of course, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes where all my numbers are. I had originally hoped I might get this one finished this year. It's not going to happen, but I'm going to keep plugging away on it regularly, and it will get finished. I don't think I showed you the bag that one was in. Was a Sock Monkey bag from Lynn X Stitch Creates. This one is in a bag from Gamma's Treasures. And this is the pattern that I'm doing for all the opponents that Carolina plays. This is Scary Sampler by Heartstring Samplery. I started this September 1st of 2023. I'm doing this, what am I doing this on? 40 count Bestitch Me Mocha. I will always tell you the fabric. I don't always tell you. Usually, most of the floss is either called for. I have a spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet linked below that has all my projects, has all the fabric, and has at least some minimal notes about floss. It may say called for, and then that's it. But if I have swapped out particular flosses, I will usually note that, unless I have just completely done my own random thing, and then it'll just say, you know, my choices or something. I don't remember what, but so if I don't say a floss or say 1/1, if it's 40 count or 20 count Aida, it's usually one strand, either 1/2 on 40 count or 1/1 on 20 count. 32 and 28 or 14 and 16, depending on whether it's Aida or linen or even weave, is almost always 2 strands. 36 could be 1 or 2 depending on the project for me. It just depends on what look I'm going for. The Schoolhouse Rock is on a 36, and I'm doing 2 strands on that because I wanted a really full coverage look. Anyway, so let's talk about Scary Sampler. I started this in the middle because I did not want to leave that house and tree to the end. Normally I start top left, but I started this in the middle. Since you last saw it, I have done 827 stitches on this. The opponent scores for the games were 38, 21, and 17. So I did 395, 247, and 185 stitches each of the 3 times I stitched on it. I'm currently at 2,401 of 26,794. So this is currently at 9%. Sorry, I have to put these away as we go, otherwise there's just too much mess. And then this is in a bag from Barefoot Needle Arts with dragonflies on it. This is Nature's Peace from Carriage House Samplings. This is a project I'm trying to get done this year. I started this on September 20th, 2024. Started last year when we took a trip out west to visit Grand Teton and Yellowstone and Glacier National Parks. So I figured since this had the Rockies in it and we were going to Grand Teton and Yellowstone that this was appropriate. I'm doing this on 22 count Bestitch Me Scroll with 1 strand. Sorry, my eye's itching. Since you last saw it, I did 393 more stitches. I did a total of 757 in October. Currently, I have done 3,839 of 5,173 stitches. So this is at 74.2%. So I am hoping to get the last, I think it's got like 1,500 stitches or so left. So I'm trying to knock that out here in the last couple months of the year. I've reached the part of the year where it's like, okay, what can I finish before the end of the year? I want to keep up with all my goals that I've got, but I also want to see what I can focus on and finish. But it doesn't help that I keep starting stuff, as you're getting ready to see. So that's all of the whips that I had before. Now I've got 3 new starts. So I finished all of my, like, what I call obligation stitching, goal stitching, earlier last week. And I worked on Nature's Piece a little bit, but then I was itching to start some stuff. So I did. 2 of these were planned. And then this one was, it was something I had really been wanting to start, but it wasn't planned exactly when I would start it. This is in a bag from Barefoot Needle Arts with forest critters around the campfire making hot dogs and s'mores. This is Within a Dream by the Artsy Housewife. And I am doing this, I started this October 29th of this year. I'm doing it on a 20 count Atomic Ranch in the colorway Freeze, which I don't know if the color is going to come out really good. It's like a really pale green, but it's also got like some tans and stuff in it. So I'm trying to show you the color right now, and then I'll pull the stitching a little closer. So like I said, this was a new start. I don't always succeed, but my goal for new starts is generally to get at least 1,000 stitches, unless the pattern has less than 10,000 stitches, and then I want to get at least 10%. So basically 10% or 1,000 stitches, whichever's less. So I did 1,148 stitches of this. I am using the called for floss on this. I think it's all DMC. No, it's not DMC. It's mostly fancy floss with a couple of DMCs. So, very moody. And it has a total of 19,647 stitches. So that is 5.8%. Next up is in this bag that I got from the Vicky Stitch and Button Halloween bag box. It wasn't really a box, but it was more than just a bag. This is Midnight by Serenita Di Campagna. I think that's how you say that. It's Italian, and I'm not sure. I started this October 30th of this year. I was planning to start it October 31st, but I was just in a hurry to start it, so I started it the night of the 30th, and then worked on it on the 31st also, too. I'm doing this on 40 count Forbidden Fibers Harvest Moon. I started this with my friend Peggy. Well, she started it earlier in October, but we both bought the pattern and the fabric and everything at the Barefoot Needle Arts Retreat with a plan to start it this month sometime, but we didn't set a date. And I did 1,173 stitches. I started in the middle so I could start with the cat. It has a total of 6,334 stitches, so that is 18.5%. Isn't he cute? So I have not backstitched his whiskers. I think they're long stitches, so I will probably wait and do those. But that one does have a couple of like 1/2 and 3/4 stitches, mainly just around the eyes on that to like shape them. I haven't looked at the rest of the pattern to see if there's any more, but it's not heavy on the partial stitches, just where needed, I think. And then my last new start is in this bag that my friend Peggy gave me at the, I have collected a needle minder and some magnets. I must have been leaning against my little 3-tier case. My friend Peggy made this for me and gave it to me at Barefoot Needle Arts Retreat. This was my new start yesterday on November 1st, and I started this with Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher. We decided to do a stitch along. I showed this pattern when I bought it a couple months ago, and she messaged me and says, hey, I have that. You want to sell it? And I said, sure, because, you know. And this is Quilts by Long Dog Sampler. Like I needed another long dog, but, you know. And I'm doing this on 20 count Atomic Ranch in the colorway Dune. The hashtag we're using is hashtag Long Dog Quilts. Sal. Quilts is Quiltz. Quiltz. I felt like there should be more after that, but that wasn't right. So, hashtag Long Dog Quilts Sal. Please do join us. I know that my friend Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, started it with me yesterday. She was at the All Day Stitch, and so we both started it. And I know my friend Peggy started it last night, late, I think. Lisa, Stitching with Lou, were you starting it? I can't remember. I know you were going to start Red and Black. I can't remember if you were going to start this one or not. And I think there was somebody else in my messages that said they might start it, but I can't remember who that was, and I can't look right now. And I know a friend of Nancy's whose Instagram is, I think, Quilter Nail, also started it. So if you are joining us, please post on Instagram and tag me and Nancy. Nancy is Disorderly Stitcher. I will tag her below, and everybody I've mentioned that I can tag YouTube wise. But I think her Instagram is just Disorderly Stitcher, not the Disorderly Stitcher. Anyway, so this is where I got. I got a good bit done yesterday. I am doing all the called for, but let me tell you my numbers first, and then I'll show you what I'm changing. I did 1,325 stitches yesterday. I did do some of that at the All Day Stitch, but then I worked on it again some more last night. It has a total of 22,319 stitches, so this is currently 5.9%. I had done at yesterday in Greensboro, I had this line of green and about to there, had done all that in the called for, which is corn husk. And I was just trying to get some structure in because there's a lot of color change in this. I don't know if you can see all these little triangles are different colors. And so that's why it's not fully filled in, because I can't do 9 stitches and then change the color of thread on my needle. That drives me up the wall. So I like to finish the thread once it's on the needle. So that's why this is that way. So I was trying to get some structure in here so that as I did these little triangles here and there, I could then come over here and finish the thread. So I was doing this grass line and got to about here, and I thought, what the heck am I stitching? I couldn't figure out what it was because it was in corn husk. And let me show you corn husk. You know, a corn husk, if you know anything about corn, a corn husk is that outside part you shuck off, right? Which is green. Well, this is not green. It's a greenish yellow, but it is not green. And I did all that stitching of that. I thought, what am I stitching? And then I went and looked and realized that it was the grass and some of the trees. And I looked at the mock-up picture, and it's green on the mock-up. Now, it's a yellowish green, but it's definitely green. And I may use this in some of the trees, but I couldn't have grass this color, even if it is supposed to be fall. So, fortunately, at the All Day Stitch, there was a vendor set up, and she had some gentle art, so I picked out Baby Spinach, which is a yellowy green, but is definitely a green. So that is what I'm using instead of place of corn husk. Not necessarily throughout the pattern, but at least for the grass, and probably some of the times where it's called for in a tree. What I may do in some of the trees, because it is supposed to be a fall pattern and the leaves are changing, I may use a mix of both in some of the trees. But I'm really kind of glad I did, because I think without the green, these colors are very yellow heavy, very yellow orange heavy. I mean, there's a red in there and there's some blues, but they're very gray blues. Are you seeing what I'm talking about here? And so I think the green really does kind of, I like yellow and I like orange, but I don't want the whole piece. So I think the green really does add something to it. So, anyway, so that other than that baby spinach, which I'm using for some of the places that call for corn husk, I am using all the called for Gentle Arts on that. And I messaged, Beth was there, and she is swapping. I think she's maybe using Gentle Arts avocado and, or maybe some color. It was not Gentle Arts. I think it was Classic Colorworks avocado. And I think maybe she also bought baby spinach and was going to use a mix of those. And then Nancy, I think, chose she wasn't fortunate enough to be somewhere that had a vendor at it. And I think she pulled from Stash Classic Colorworks Pea Pod, which is another one I had looked at and considered before I found that baby spinach. So anyway, if you are stitching with us, just something to think about. I mean, if you're good with the corn husk as your grass, that's fine. I just didn't like it. And, this pattern is from like 2016. So and the mock-up is green. So I wonder if it's a case of, the dye lot being very different from what it was when the pattern was charted. Because this is charted by Long Dog Samplers, but like Cardinal Points, it was charted in Gentle Arts floss, not DMC. A lot of her patterns don't even have a DMC color. It's like whatever color you want to use. I'm also doing Cardinal Points, which was charted by Long Dog Samplers for Gentle Arts. And it has a color that's a vine that is clearly supposed to be green, but the Gentle Arts colorway now is, I think at the time that it was designed, was very green with pops of yellow, and now it's much more yellow with pops of green. And so I'm using that because I didn't realize it till I'd already done too much. But had I noticed earlier, I would have swapped it out. Anyway, so that is all of my whips that I have worked on. On the docket, the WIPCO calls for November came out, which of course means we also know December. So November WIPCO is Blue Ridge again for another 1,000 stitches. And also Treasure Hunt for 1,600. If you watched my last episode, you know that I had Treasure Hunt in September, but did not get but about 300 stitches on it. So I still needed like 1,200 plus stitches to catch up for September, which, as you will have just seen, I did not get to in October. But I will do that in November so I need to do 1,600 for Treasure Hunt for November, plus the 1,221 left from September. So 2,821 stitches on that. And then the 1,000 on Blue Ridge, which means that we have 3 calls for December, because the free space did not get called till December, and I put something in the free space. So December, I ended up with 3 projects with pretty heavy stitch counts for what I put on WIPGO. I'm going to have Peacock, Unicorn, and Badger, 1,800 stitches. Across Winter Lake, 1,600 stitches. And Dark Tower, 1,500 stitches. So if I have time this month, I may try to knock at least one of those out. Probably either Peacock or Dark Tower, because both of those have some block areas where I can, since they're both DMC, where I can do, a bunch of half stitches across and back, and I can kind of knock out stitches a little bit faster. So I may go ahead and try to knock one of those out for December. Let Freedom Ring, I'll try to do at least another 2,200 on. Anzac, another 600. I need to work on the back stitch for Kingdom Books. And then I'm going to stay up. I'm going to do all the stitching for Gridiron Grind. That is going to be 5 games, because I have the game from last Friday, the 31st, that I have not stitched for, and then 4 games this month. And then, assuming that we do not go to a bowl, which I would be completely and totally shocked if we got a bowl bid, that will be all a Gridiron Grind. So I'm currently thinking about plans for 2026, but I'm not going to really get into those this month. I do have one more new start planned in November. It may not be my only start in November, but it is the only start that I have planned specifically, and that is Thanksgiving weekend. Probably not Thanksgiving Day for me, but Thanksgiving weekend. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, is And I don't know if she's doing it with Bridget, or there may be somebody else that's like not sponsoring it, but hosting it with her. They are starting Winter Wind by Samplers and Primitives. And I didn't think to look up to see if there's a hashtag. If there's a hashtag, I'll put it across the screen, or I'll figure it out between now and Thanksgiving. So I put a picture up here of what that looks like. Winter Wind by Samplers and Primitives. I'm going to do it on a little bit darker fabric so that it doesn't go so much as that sample picture looks like. But yeah, Beth the Steadfast Stitcher is hosting that with possibly somebody else. Enchanting Stitches, maybe? I don't remember. Sorry, I got the floss tube itchy nose. And that is a start Thanksgiving weekend. I think also next weekend, I think it was next weekend she told me, I need to look it up. Last year we started a pattern with Ravenscraft, and I did Wood Witch. And I got a good start on it, but I have not touched it since. And she told me yesterday that they're doing a Zoom next weekend to work on that, so I may try to do that. I think the Zoom, though, is Saturday, and I have a ball game Saturday, and we've got errands to run Saturday morning. So maybe for an hour around lunchtime Saturday, I might get in on that. We'll see. But that's it for On the Docket. That's my only definite plan. So, calendar, real quick. And I did sign up for the Stitch and Thrift retreat in the Lexington, South Carolina area, which is January 16th, 17th. It's like a few hours the night of the 16th, Friday night the 16th, and most of the day Saturday, but only until late afternoon. So, because it's being held at a church, and there's some other things that conflict. So, it's really kind of a single day stitch, but if you're in the Lexington, South Carolina area, there is a Facebook group for it, but if you go to is it Palmetto State Stitchers? There's a South Carolina Facebook group for Stitchers, and I think they posted in there about it. If you can't find it and you're interested, shoot me a message or an email, or leave a comment, and I'll try to point you in the right direction. If I remember, I might just see if I can link the Facebook group if I can. I know you got to join the group, but that's a relatively inexpensive one. It's just like $15 for the day, but there'll be a food truck there for lunch, but that's it. There's no other big hoopla. They also do ask that you bring a donation of feminine hygiene products, excuse me, feminine hygiene products, for the charitable donation that they're going to make. And that's the next kind of, social stitching thing that I'm aware of and have planned. Beyond that, it's really, the next thing isn't until the Barefoot Needle Arts Simply Stitching, is that what it's called? Simply Stitching in Dillard, Georgia in May. So, let's move on to stashing for retirement. Okay, first up, because it's on top, I'll show you what I got yesterday at the All Day Stitch. And just a few things. There was, like I said, there was a vendor there. Sorry, there's going to be just a little bit of crinkling. And there also, there was a freebie table, which I did not get anything off of, but there was also some, you could bring stuff that you wanted to try to sell, and just kind of set up. And I bought one thing from somebody that was selling. I got this Autumn Lane Evening Stroll kit, and it is the kit with the perforated paper and all the floss for it, but also has that frame for it. So I got that from somebody that was, just selling stuff. And then the vendor, I'm looking for her card, which I know is in here somewhere. I dumped everything out. Is Bestie Barn Creations. Lillian was who was there. I'll leave that there a second. If you want to, she has her Etsy, but you can scan that QR code if I'm hopefully holding it steady enough. And what did I get from her? She gave me a cute little freebie Snow Fun from Scarlet House. It's a Scarlet House freebie. That's that shops may copy for distribution, but not for sale. And then also as a little freebie for my purchase, she gave me a couple charms, a Santa and a little gift. And then I purchased, I like these tapestry petites, and she had the 24. I tend to stitch mostly with 28s, occasionally a 26, but sometimes I want a 24 for the bigger eye, but I still like the short little petite needle. So, so I got a pair of those, set of those. And I also I like these little tubes they come in because I can keep them together easy. I had not gotten the Heart and Hand Wee Santa 2025, so I got that. And then I thought this was cute. This is finally a Farm Girl in the Meadow. It says, in the meadow we can build a snowman. I just thought it was cute with the little bears and the cardinal on the bird feeder. And then I bought a couple pieces of fabric. I got a 36 count linen, fabrics by Stephanie, Winter Wishes. I haven't taken these out of the thing. Somebody's doing a project on this, and when I saw it, I thought, ooh, I need a piece of that. And I asked Beth, because I thought maybe it was her, and she wasn't sure. But then I also got a fat quarter of Fox and Rabbit 40 count prehistoric. This is the colorway that I think the houses were all called to be on. I'm not going to do the houses on 40 count, I don't think. I'm not sure I'm going to do all the houses, but I just really want... when I go for neutral, I really prefer gray unless the colors of the floss just really mean it needs a tan. So neutral, gray is my preferred neutral over tans. So that's what I got yesterday. I placed an order from Pam at Stitch New England. First of all, I got my Year in the Woods 2, number 5, the turkey, which I am on auto ship from her. And it came in with my regular order. And then I ordered Summer House Stitchworks, Fragments in Time 2025, number 5 and 6. These are Christmas edition. So the first 4 of the year were Halloween. The second 4 are going to be Christmas. Number 5 is the Gingerbread House, or Jolly Gingerbread House. And number 6 is Birds and Baubles. And then she was doing, she had an Atomic Ranch trunk show for her retreat in October, and so before she shipped leftovers back to Atomic Ranch, she did a mystery sale on it if you let her pick the fabrics. In other words, you could tell her what count and what type of fabric you wanted, but she didn't get to pick the colors. So I bought 2 pieces of 20 count, sorry, I can't talk again, 20 count Ada fat quarters, and this one is Oz, which of course is a great... Trying to get the right tone of green. That's probably as good as I'm going to get. It's a light green, but it's not, you know, it's definitely a green. You can see it's a green. And then Forget Me Not, which is a blue, but it's got a purplish tint. This one I will definitely use. I've really been on a 20 count Ada kick lately, where I'm trying to build up my stash on it, and I like... Part of the reason I like 40 count linen is 1 strand, and I'm drawn to huge projects, and using 40 count makes them smaller, so they're not all ginormous, like physically ginormous. But, you know, I am getting older. My eyes are getting worse. And 20 count Ada is much more available now in indie dyed fabrics. So I have been buying a lot of 20 count Ada, and kind of these days, if I'm starting a project, unless it's a project that I just think will look better on linen, that the linen as a background is more suited to the image that the project is. I hope that makes sense. Then I'm going to default towards 20 count Ada, I think, instead of 40 count linen. Unless 40 count linen is what I have, and that's the color that looks best. But anyway, I also bought a couple of patterns from D-Stash. First is, I think I got this one from, oh, I can picture her. I can't think of her name. Melissa is her name, but she's a floss tuber, and I can't think of her floss tube name. I will put her floss tube name across the screen because I can't think of her floss tube, and I'll tag her also. I bought this from her D-Stash, I think. This is a bright needle. This is Esmeralda's House, and I just really like that. So I got that. And then I was watching Carolyn Seazook Stitch, and she had shown this a couple times, and she showed it again. And every time she showed it, I'm like, I love that. And I know I had looked for it before and couldn't find it. But this time when I looked, I found it. And I found it on an Etsy shop for a reasonable price. So I bought it. And maybe just the last time that I looked, it just was a matter of nobody had it at the time. Because when I searched this time, I actually found it a couple places. So if you like it, you know, it may be hit or miss. This is Christmas Dinner from Cross My Heart. And I just really love this. So I bought this one. And that might get started in December. I don't know. I need to take a look at the fabric, and it's all DMC, I think. Yeah. But it has blends and some half stitches. You know, it's an older pattern, 2007. So not super old, but not like, you know, 80s, or it's not a hand-drawn pattern like some of the older patterns. Anyway, so I bought that. So that is on my physical haul. I did have bought a few PDF patterns, and I will show you those. I'll put the pictures on the screen as I tell you. Hopefully I can get my cadence right so you've got time to look at them. I bought Winter Wind, which I've already showed you, which is the pattern I'm going to start Thanksgiving weekend. I bought the 6 portals from Pain Free Crafts. So if you watch Flosstube a lot, particularly if you watch Jen the Caffeinated Crafter and Jessie Murray does stuff. I can't remember if Jessie Murray has started it, but I know she's bought it. Jen has started it. And there's a couple others that have started it. Pain Free Crafts has, anyway, the portals are based on artwork by Rose Catherine Kahn. Pain Free Crafts has charted them and has had each portal individually available. There are 6 of them. But they have now released basically a bundle that has all 6 individual charts plus all 6 portals charted into one chart. It is the most expensive. It is outside of Touching the Autumn Sky and Lady of the Flag, Marabella. It is the most expensive cross-stitch pattern I've ever bought. So it's not cheap, but it gives you basically 7 patterns. I debated because 2 of the portals I'm kind of about. 3 of the portals I love and would have a hard time deciding which of the 3 to do if I were only going to do one. For the 4th portal, I like primarily because of the colors. It's ocean themed, which is not always my jam, but it's all blues and greens, and so that means I love it. The 2 of the portals, I'm kind of like, they're pretty, but they're, you know, if I were going to choose one individually, they would not be one of the ones I would choose. But then there's all 6 together that look great, and I cannot decide. If you do all 6, it's almost 1,000,000 stitches. I mean, I will never finish the damn thing if I start it. So the realistic side of me is like, why even start it when you know there's no way you're going to do all of them? Just pick the one you like the most and do the one. But then I can't decide between the 3 that I like the most. The autumn one, the winter one, and the kind of Halloween-y one. I can't decide. So who knows if or when I'll ever start any or all of whatever. So, but I didn't want to risk. It's Rose Catherine Kahn, who has been with a couple of different people and, you know, gone out of print or retired, so to speak, from, you know, like she used to have some at Heaven and Earth Designs and no longer there. And so I did not want to risk not getting the chart if, say she got discontinued at Pain Free Craft. So I bought it. Anyway, that was a lot of rambling about one chart. But then Carolyn Manning had a sale. That sale is over. It ended on Halloween. But she had a sale for her 60th birthday, which was 60% off if you spent $50. So basically, if you put enough charts in your cart to get to $50, then I automatically went down to $20. So I basically got like 7 charts for $20. So not that I don't have a bunch of Carolyn Mannings, and I've really only started one, but I love them, and who knows, for $20, 7 charts, who can resist? So let me show you. I'll show you pictures of the ones that I got. And I think I'm going to have to put my glasses on to read this because I wrote it too tiny. And this is in no particular order as far as my preference. They're just ones that I didn't have that I liked. And there are a variety of patterns. Boho Granny, which is kind of like a bright granny square pattern. Pumpkin Pie. Actually, I got 8 patterns. Pumpkin Pie, which is 3 smalls that actually has some specialty stitches. And so not kind of the traditional type of Carolyn Manning I usually get. I bought her like granny square temperature blanket looking one. That's granny squares where you get, I'm not planning to do a temperature stitch in 2026, but if I do one again, I might want to do this one. So I went ahead and bought that. Back to the Beach, which is 4 smaller of the, similar to like the Beachcomber one, which I love, but, is a full-size one. This is like 4 smaller and similar colors. Aurora, I think Aurora was one of the quilt ones, so this is not all uniform little squares. It's like different shapes. You're seeing as I'm talking about it. Purple Poppies, which is a small. Ocean Deep, which is another one that has, I think, like 4 small ones. And then Winter Waltz, which is not a full coverage. I meant to check. I think that one, the purple background on that, I think is supposed to represent the color of the fabric on that one. So those are the Carolyn Mannings that I bought. And then Heaven and Earth Designs was having a sale. So I finally broke down and bought Mini Spirit of the Dragonfly. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, is doing that with, I think, Enchanting Stitches. I can't remember Enchanting Stitches' real name right now. I'm drawing a blank. And every time she shows it, I think, oh, I need to buy that pattern at least because I love dragonflies. And Beth told me yesterday that she had heard a rumor that Carol, I got to pronounce her last name, Cavaleris, who is the artist that the pattern is based on, the pattern is based on the artwork of Carol Cavaleris. Beth said she'd heard that her artwork might get retired from Heaven and Earth Design, so I didn't want to risk not getting the pattern. I'm not sure when I might start it. Also, Head, Heaven and Earth Designs, most people refer to it as Head, has released their, I think it's 12 patterns for the 2026 Stitch Along. And I've signed up for the 2026 Stitch Along. Now, I do not plan to really fully do the 2026 Stitch Along. There's no way I'm doing at least 6 pages of a full coverage, of a single full coverage in 1 year. I'm just not, I have too many other projects. However, the 12 patterns that you can choose for the Stitch Along are exclusive to the Stitch Along. In other words, they will never be available otherwise. And there was a dragonfly one that is just absolutely gorgeous. So in order to get that pattern, I signed up for it. I don't have that pattern yet. I won't get it till January 1 since that's my chosen Stitch Along pattern. However, but also reading the rules and stuff, if I do at least 1 full page of it, there is going to be an exclusive Amy Stewart pattern that has not been shown yet, but I think the name was something like Stitch Haven. So it's probably going to, I'm guessing it's going to be one of her like collage ones, but it's all going to be stitch related. If I do at least 1 full page, I get that free. And I may try to do 1 full page to do that. I think a Heaven and Earth full page is like 8,500 stitches. If I don't remember correctly, I haven't looked it up. So I may try to do that. I really don't, if you do 6 full pages, you get all 12 of the patterns that you had to choose from to choose one for the stitch along. There's 2 other patterns that are cute, and I kind of, that I would, if they were available, I might buy. But I don't like them enough to bust my butt and do 6 pages of a full coverage in 1 year just to get them free. So, I can pass on those. And there's some other exclusives that if you actually complete the whole thing, you get free. But that's madness. I mean, if you were a monogamous stitcher, or I guess if you do your full coverage 2/1 half cross, you can do them a lot faster. I still like 1/1 full cross on 25 count, and I just can't do but so much. I'm experimenting with somewhat 2/1 half cross on the centers of one of my chatelaines and my pattern that I got at the chatelaine retreat that was designed by Katie Ten Eyck. But I don't think I really want to do an entire full coverage 2/1 half cross. My brain just has to think too hard, and it might get easier and may change my mind in the future. But for now, I'm not finishing a Haid in a year. Not even these are smaller Haids. I mean, the one that I picked is like 85,000 and some stitches, which is basically kind of the size of a mini. But yeah, there's no way. I'm rambling now. That is all for Stashing for Retirement. That's all I have for you today. My current plan is to record again on Sunday the 16th. I can't do it on Saturday because we will be going to the baby shower. But my current plan is to record on Sunday the 16th or thereabouts. I was trying to think. No, I can't do it Friday night the 14th because I actually have another baby shower for a coworker that night. So it will probably be Sunday the 16th or thereabouts. And I'm going to try to not wait until the end of the month again to do it. So if you have any questions that are not addressed by the description box below or the spreadsheet that's linked to the description box below, feel free to leave a comment, send me an email, which my email address is below. You can message me on Instagram, and I will usually remember to answer. The problem with messages on Instagram is I may see it at a time that I like look at it and glance at it, but then it's marked read and I can't mark it unread, and then I may forget to go back and respond if I need to think about the answer, or if I see it while I'm at work and you ask me something that the information is at home, I may forget to do that. I did just think of one thing, though. I'm going to have to, let me pull up on my computer. My friend Rose Stancil emailed me right after the Barefoot Needle Arts retreat, but I did not see it until after I had done my last recording, to let me know about a couple of retreats. She is a travel agent, and she and a friend are Kim Mott are planning a couple of retreats next year. One is in Disney, and one is in Nashville during the Nashville market. Now, it doesn't necessarily doesn't get you into the Nashville market, but gets you in the vicinity with, and the Disney one is February 13th through 15th. The guest designer will be Atomic Tiki Pens. And that is, I will try to link, I have flyers. I'm not sure if I can attach those. And then the Nashville one is March 6th through 8th in Nashville. They are working with Barefoot Needle Arts, who is vending at the market, and you can pre-order with Barefoot, and they're going to try to make sure, Barefoot is going to try to make sure that if you pre-order with them, that you actually get your pre-orders while you're at that retreat in Nashville, if that makes sense. Either Friday evening or first thing Saturday, if possible. So you can't actually go to Nashville Market, but if you pre-order stuff from Nashville Market through Barefoot, you may get it that weekend. And she did. I will give you the email below that she gave me, awaywestitch@gmail.com, and I'll put that down below. I'm looking to see. Yeah, these are flyers. They're not websites, so I don't think they tell you much more. Yeah, the pages, I mean, the flyers she sent me don't tell you much more than what I just told you. But they suggest that you email them for more information. So I will put that email below, and some basics like I just told you. If you're interested in those, check them out. I know that Rose has planned cruises for Barefoot Needle Arts a couple of times, and I have not been able to go, but I know a good friend of mine, Angela, has been on the last one, and she said they had a great time. And I believe that these are new retreats, so this will be the first time. So I will not be able to attend either one of them due to timing, but I recommend you check them out if Disney or Nashville is something you're looking to do. Anyway, so I think that's it. This is probably going to be a little over an hour, maybe not. If you stuck out this long, I appreciate you checking me out, watching, sticking with me. Hope you enjoyed what you saw. As I said, if you have any questions, comment, or email me. And I appreciate you watching, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.